Nationwide rallies continue following the death in custody of 24-year-old Warlpiri man Kumanjai White. Over 1,000 people gathering in Boorloo, Perth, calling for justice and systematic change. Auntie Millie Ingram has been appointed a member of the Order of Australia among several First Nations leaders honoured in the 2025 King's Birthday Honours. And a second death in custody in the Northern Territory is now under coronial investigation, prompting renewed calls for accountability and independent oversight. More on that later. Kaya, this is a National Indigenous Times Daily News Bulletin for Monday the 9th of June. More than 1,000 people gathered in Boorloo, Perth on Sunday demanding justice for 24-year-old Warlpiri man Kumanjai White, who died in custody after being restrained by NT police. The rally was one of many held nationwide in a show of solidarity, with speakers calling for an end to black deaths in custody and the urgent implementation of long-ignored Royal Commission recommendations. Dr. Hannah McGlade and Noongar advocate Roxy Moore condemned systematic racism and the failure to protect vulnerable Aboriginal people, while Noongar man Eric Haywood backed calls for an independent investigation and accountability. Auntie Millie Ingram, a proud Wiradjuri and lifelong advocate for Aboriginal rights, has been appointed a member of the Order of Australia in the 2025 King's Birthday Honours. Growing up under strict control on Erranby Mission in central West New South Wales, Miss Ingram found her voice early, successfully challenging unfair dismissal in the 1950s. She went on to become a powerful force in land rights, education and grassroots initiatives, founding the Wyinga Aboriginal Aged Care Program, which she still supports at 85. Also recognised as Torres Strait Islander Harold Matthew awarded a medal for his service to the community of Thursday Island. A founding member of Deadly Runners and the local running festival, Mr. Matthew has helped spark a health and fitness movement across the region. Other First Nations leaders honoured include inaugural First Peoples Assembly of Victoria co-chairs Geraldine Atkinson and Marcus Stewart, recognised for their contributions to education, self-determination and Indigenous advocacy. A coroner will investigate the death of a 68-year-old Aboriginal man who died in intensive care after being taken into protective custody at Darwin Airport on May 30. It marks the second Indigenous death in custody in the Northern Territory within 2 weeks, following the death of 24-year-old Kumanjai White in Alice Springs. The man lost consciousness after being transported to Royal Darwin Hospital and later died on Saturday. Northern Territory Police and the Australian Federal Police have confirmed a post-mortem will determine the cause of death, with the case classified as a death in custody. Rallies continue nationwide calling for justice and independent inquiries into Aboriginal deaths in custody. Collingwood star and fan favourite Bobby Hill would celebrate his 100th AFL game in Monday's King's Birthday clash against Melbourne at the MCG. Despite illness in his household during the week, Hill is expected to line up for the milestone match. Since joining the Magpies from GWS in 2023, the 25-year-old small forward has become one of the league's most electrifying players, famously booting 4 goals in last year's grand final to claim the Norm Smith medal. With 17 goals from 11 games so far this season, Hill remains a key part of Collingwood's top-of-the-ladder form. The New South Wales Government's first standalone Aboriginal domestic family and sexual violence plan has been welcomed by the Aboriginal Legal Service as a positive first step towards tackling disproportionate rates of violence against Aboriginal women and children. Backed by $2 million in the upcoming state budget and co-designed with Aboriginal community-controlled organisations, the plan aims to support closing the gap targets, particularly reducing violence to zero. While ALS CEO Carly Warner praised the community-led approach, she criticised the government's simultaneous $500 million investment in prisons and courts, urging greater funding for preventative, culturally safe services. The plan is part of a broader $272.7 million domestic violence package. The federal government has announced a $30 million investment in a new traditional owner-led program to protect and manage the Great Barrier Reef. The Traditional Owner Water Quality Program will fund projects grounded in traditional owner values and knowledge systems, focusing on restoring ecosystems like mangroves and wetlands to improve water quality. With more than 70 traditional owner groups connected to sea country along the reef, the initiative will also support the Reef 2050 Traditional Owner Implementation Plan. Ministers emphasised the importance of Indigenous leadership in environmental stewardship, highlighting the program's environmental and economic benefits. Applications are now open for the 2026 Australian Youth Orchestra programs, which offer an exciting range of opportunities for young people across the country in performance, composition, sound production, and arts administration. In 2025, the Australian Youth Orchestra will waive the $72 application fee for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander applicants. Programs are held in cities like Adelaide, where the Media and Communication program will run in January 2026. Balladong and Noongar participant Hanae Wilding described her Australian Youth Orchestra experience as incredible, highlighting her newfound passion for sound production. Applications close at the end of August, with an online information session scheduled for June 18th. That's today's Daily News Roundup from the National Indigenous Times. For more news, head to nit.com.au and sign up to our free newsletter today.